Alors, rebonsoir, mes chers amis. Je suis là, mais vraiment
Good evening again, dear friends.
dire qu'on a quand même eu notre ministre.
Good evening, dear friends again. We've had the minister, Mrs. Najat Belkacem, is finally here. She was held back by pressing work at the French House of Parliament, so I'd like you to welcome her very warmly, especially so because she's going back to Paris tonight. And it's a great pleasure and great honor for all of us to welcome her tonight with her to be, as she has a clear message to pass on. And before the last plenary session tonight, we're very pleased to welcome her tonight. So it's over to you, madam.
Bonjour à toutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good, everyone, the men and the women. I was trying to find the men in the audience. Thank you very much, Véronique, for the introduction. I do apologize for being late. I would have liked to be here earlier. Thank you very much for the invitation to take part in this event that I have been following for a long time remotely. And also, for a long time, I have wanted to take part in this event. Today, I am the minister responsible for women's rights. I am a spokesperson for the government, and it was, of course, an honor to speak to you today in that capacity. Why is this such a great honor, and why am I so pleased to take part in this event? Well, I think that managing to meet in France leaders, women from the entire world, is an exceptional feat. It is also a very powerful message. This is giving visibility to women who have power and to women whose struggle and commitment inspires our respect, who often are in the shadows of men. I would like this forum to be a sign and a warning to the men of this world. Do not take the easy way out. The easy way out, which would be to consider the relations between men and women as of secondary importance, as a minor topic. Today, women are creating companies, especially small and medium-sized enterprises, is a very important economic force. This is why my ministry would like to continue to promote women's entrepreneurship and to continue to support the network of enterprises headed by women. I would like to focus a little bit on the main topic of the forum, 360-degree growth. That is to say, growth everywhere in the world. 360 degrees around. But 360-degree growth is also a type of revolution in the sense of a shift of our mentality, a paradigm shift. And I think this crisis is also an opportunity to rethink in depth our development models, to completely have a different view on the role played by women in our economies. This paradigm shift must be an opportunity to us to go forward in establishing what I call the third generation for women's rights. The first generation focused on civil and political rights. It was eliminating discrimination against women in law. It was the end of the legal inferiority of women. The second generation of women's rights was in the 70s and 80s with regard to specific rights given to women due to the fact that they're women, the right to reproductive rights and abortion, and the right to decide for themselves with regard to their own bodies. The third generation are the true rights for everyone and a real shift in mentalities. All of the laws we have adopted, if they remain not applied today fully, it is because mentalities have perhaps not changed as fast as our laws. And it is this shift, this mentality shift, that we will have to work upon. And I think the first key step will be to focus on professional equality, the equality of equal pay for equal work. No one today can accept that a woman who has the same professional level, similar qualifications as a man, should be paid less than the man. Let us just not forget that in France, because so many countries are represented here today, women still, on average, are paid 27% less than men. this gap is mainly explained by the fact that different jobs are held by men and women. This can be explained also by the fact that perhaps women, especially in an economic crisis, are often working in part-time jobs that are more precarious. But many studies also show that nothing really explains this gap in incomes unless we look at discrimination. And so we need to make sure that equal pay is a fact in companies and in public enterprises. Well, we also are looking at companies opened up by women. We see in companies that women need to be present in decision-making bodies. They need to be part of boards of directors. That's a necessity. But we see very clearly that after many years of work and effort, and perhaps we have seen more of a shift of more equality on boards of directors. But the power has shifted. Now they go through boards of directors to the executive bodies of companies. And so we need to today make sure that we also focus on the executive boards and the boards of directors, especially the bodies that make decisions in companies. In the world, in the corporate world, especially the leading companies in Europe, we see that boards of directors still are made up of about 90% men. And it is at the highest levels that this gender gap is the greatest. 3% of the major European companies are headed by women today, only 3%. And this is why I would like to reiterate how much my government and my ministry supports our support to the project established by Viviane Reding in establishing a European quota in European companies. This is a very important struggle. It is maybe not enough, but it is a very important first step. Well, we were talking about professional inequality between men and women is partly explained by an unequal presence of different types of men and women in different fields. In France, we have about 87 different professional areas, but half of working women in France are only hired in 11 of these professional fields. This gives you an idea of how much young women, when they go on the labor market, their horizon is so much narrower than that of men. Well, this narrower horizon is due to stereotypes, the stereotypes that have an impact on the schools and the discrimination that takes place in schools between girls and boys, and all of these informal skills that we need in companies when women don't dare speak up in meetings, when they don't apply for a job once they are rejected. In other words, we see that on the one hand, we have the discrimination that I mentioned earlier, but also at the same time, there was kind of self-censorship amongst women that has its roots in stereotypes. My government is determined once again to take action at the earliest age by having education for equality, equality between little girls and little boys. It must start in kindergarten. In kindergarten, we need to start talking about this. We can't say girls and boys are the same thing. What we have to say is that girls and boys have all of the potential, all of the capacities and the rights to develop their qualities, to develop the same skills, the same possibilities and ability to face life and in the professional life as well. We know that glass ceilings exist. I'm sure that you all know what I'm talking about. But this is not the only thing we want to attack. Let's also talk about glass walls. glass separations is that sometimes women are isolated in certain areas and certain jobs. And that type of kind of maybe sticky floor where women are stuck and cannot go forward in many different professional areas. Now, this is true also for women who are not getting paid enough, who have precarious jobs, whose careers are interrupted by unemployment or inactivity. 65% of the lowest paying jobs are held by women in France. I believe that we cannot think about economic recovery without taking into consideration the issue of poor working women. Once again, we need to have an ambitious roadmap. This work must be carried out together with unions, with employers and companies, which must all take up this issue of gender. Of course, professional equality, of course, is a necessity of social justice. I'm sure you all agree with me, but we must go further in our debate. Professional equality is also an issue of economic efficiency. All economics studies on this topic have shown how much the balance between men and women in companies leads to profits. And it is there's a true link between the proportion of women who have jobs of responsibility and the final profit of the company. A Finnish study was quite striking. It showed that companies where the boards of directors respect the balance between men and women on the board have 10% higher profits on average than companies whose boards of directors are 100% men. Other studies have shown that the implementation of an overall policy of gender balance favors leadership and innovation in companies, and you know that this is a very important factor of economic recovery in times of crisis. Now, in an environment that needs financial growth and spending on social issues, clearly we must optimize these activities for women. I believe that this is a very important lesson we have seen from the economist Esping Anderson. Financing for the future. We need to increase the contributions, social contributions, so that more women can work, as many women as possible, for all women to be able to work, but also for them to earn more. And they will earn more in order to have more access to promotion, to career advancement, to more responsibilities by working. Sometimes, of course, women must stop working to take care of their children, to have maternity leave, but they should not suffer from these interruptions. And for this, we need to have more in-depth thinking in companies with regard to what is the actual role of maternity leave, paternity leave, parental leave, which sometimes can be long, and women are cut off from the labor market. We need to think about this. We need to think about the most important thing, that is to say exactly how our companies can encourage fathers and mothers to take that type of leave to devote themselves to raising their families. Careers of women must be equal to men's careers in the most continuous manner as possible in their working lives. This is, of course, very difficult. It's difficult to bring women back to the working market who have left it for a very long time. We must help them through training. We need to have specific assistance for them, but we must ensure that that interruption shall no longer be something which has slowed down the implementation of professional equality. Of course, we need to have an ambitious with political will. We need to make sure that we start talking about this with young children. We need to make sure that we have more of this type of effort. But beyond what the state can and must do, I think that we have to have a debate on the time we spend professionally and the time we spend with our families, and which will be linked to the meaning of parenthood, really. With regard to professional equality, beyond these major theories that I've just evoked, when we look at our daily life, specifically our daily life, the life of women who suffer the most from inequality with regard to career opportunities, we really do see that at the end of the day, there's a kind of paradox that is suffered by women between 25 and 30 years of age, who at the end of the day are faced with this double situation. At each family meal, they ask them, oh, when are you having your baby, etc., etc. On the other hand, when they come to work in the morning, it is the supervisor who says, oh, be careful, we have a lot of work ahead of us in the months ahead. If you do have a baby, well, that might undermine your career. That's the subliminal message that we get. And so all of these debates that we are having, especially in the Anglo-Saxon world today, that is to say, can you have it all? Can you be a mother? Can you have a family? Can you, at the same time, be a business leader? Is it an impossible equation? Not only are we having a 24-hour day, but 24-hour guilt. Can you have it all? I think that women can have it all, but on one condition, is that the men, the women, the citizens should come together to transform our society from the inside. 80%, as long as 80% of domestic chores are conducted by women, we cannot face that challenge. As long as we have 1 billion women who are victims of violence inside their homes throughout the world, we will not be able to have it all. In other words, we need to have a real paradigm shift on the roles of men and women. Well, we still have in the media over 80% of men, so-called experts, who speak on TV. We will not be able to have it all. It is the way we organize our society that we really need to rethink. And finally, to stress a possible risk. I often see this when I talk with colleagues, is that we need to empower women with regard to specific skills, so-called women's skills. Well, I think that women are human beings, just like any other man. And finally, I think that men are also human beings, just like any woman. Let us not cut ourselves off in a kind of little stereotype. Let us not label ourselves. Let's not say that we can or cannot do this. We need to make sure we have equality, balance. It's not only a question of gender. We need to tap into the potential of all of humanity. And so we need to lead our countries, teams, wage our battles with enormous efforts. I'm not saying that women can do this. They've already demonstrated that they're capable of doing this. I also have no doubt that men can take care of children. They can organize home life. They can take on chores at home. But for balance and gender equality for all, we need to do this so that tomorrow's society should no longer wonder, but what is our gender? But the most important thing is what we can contribute to society as a human being. Thank you very much.